Okay, what would be the standard of proof in that trial for whether or not a person is...
We know what the standard of proof is.
So you're going to maintain the same standard?
Yeah, the same
beyond reasonable doubt?
Exactly. And I'm saying
that may create some difficulties to establish, because this is a private matter.
No, what private matter? The truth is, and you see, I hear people say two consenting adults. When it talks about advocacy, what is the consenting adults about? People don't even... If you project a lot of crimes that are committed, arrest and prosecution takes place only if you can establish the principles or the elements of the crime. Are you getting me? In this particular case, we have said that during arrest, during investigation, even if you meet those conditions, you are not supposed to be put in there. You're supposed to be guided away from it. So the policy of the law is not to even criminalize or put people in there. It's to guide them away. Those that we want to tackle are those who are funding, who are bringing advocacy, who want to push our children into these difficulties. And those people...
So mainly it's the advocacy that you're criminalizing?
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, you can't... Not only the advocate, the funding. Because you see...
Okay, so people are not going to be hauled in to say that I saw Mr. Buidi Yeboah, just for example, and I suspect that he's gay because his gay partner comes in, he lives on top of me in the flat. I tell the police that, will that trigger an investigation?
Well, of course. I mean, if...
Will that investigation restrict their movements one way or the other? Will they have to report to the police?
They will go through the normal processes of investigations to be find out whether they're... It's like a prostitute or...
What kind of investigation? They'll have to ask the person.
Well, you need the evidence. You need the evidence to support whatever crime that you're investigating.
Yes.
So you want to find out the facts, what has been... Because if the person comes and alleges that he's seen you in a certain man always going to another man's room, that's not enough evidence to establish that. And
I'm saying that since this act is a sexual act and it's essentially private, are we not going to impair the evidence gathering? No,
there's always, you see, what people don't forget is that the LGBT community is very outward. You know, all these technical things you're giving to me, they don't care a hoot about it. They're very outward in the way they project themselves. In fact, that's why, you know, they wanted what they call safe places to do what they want to do. So if you want to get they're very open in what they do.
So you find two men holding hands in the streets?
Well, but clearly in Ghana, even if you've done two people kissing, it's depending on the indecent exposure is an offense in Ghana, or they're stripping naked. The Kwapin Polo got into trouble recently. So there are standards that of moral behavior that we accept and standards of behavior that we don't accept. And we decide to criminalize it because we want to move people away from that sort of behavior. And there's nothing wrong with making those choices.
But you know that it's easy for people to hide this. If they live in a community where they know
people
it's criminalized.
People hide lots of things, Paul.
Yeah, it's easy for them to hide this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that would defeat the purpose of the law.
It won't defeat. I mean, if we find it right, the law is about discovering and finding out and guiding people away. If you are hiding it, fine. But if you are found out, because the society itself, and don't forget that in Ghana, it's not just about even the law that we're passing. The customary law is against it. So in our local communities, if you are found out, then you will be dealt with according to the customary law. Are you getting me?
Why is the current law insufficient? The current Criminal Offences Act criminalizing sodomy.
Yeah, but you and I have discussed it. It doesn't capture all the range of LGBT, LGBTQ, transgender is not there. Queer is
so
not there.
lesbianism is prohibited under the law?
Well, of course.
How are you going to find it? How are you finding it? How are you going to find the lesbianism? How are you going to find the conduct?
How are you going to define it?
Or find it.
Discover the people.
Discover the people who are doing it.
Well, I mean, the definition of the law is there as to what lesbian activities involve. And if the evidence is established that this is what they're involved in, then of course they're going to be arrested. We know what they do, so they meet in clubs, they meet in open places. There's so many things.
So clubs that are dedicated to this LGBT,
exactly,
that's obvious. That you can see. That you can close down.
Yes.
As they've already been doing.
Precisely,
actually.
yes.
And a celebration anywhere of an LGBT event with billboards and rainbow colors, you can close all of that down.
All of that is
that you may be able to do, but in terms of real practice.
Yeah, but Paul, what I'm saying that is the same with other crimes. If somebody is, let's say, committed incest, a father is sleeping with a daughter. How do you find that out? You tell me.
Yeah, or the daughter confesses at some point.
Precisely. So that's how.
But that's one person who doesn't want it.
Paul, I'm saying.
If both of them want it, nobody's going to confess.
Yes, but so that's it. That's how it works.
So you can't find it.
That's how. Yes, you can't.
Dr. Prempeh asked a question. Kwesi Prempeh, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh asked a question at the committee level and said that some men are having anal sex with their female spouses. What about that?
Yeah, but you know, under the law 104, still it would be an offense.
Yes.
And you know, let me give you...
But he says we're not looking for them.
Oh, they look, well, but who says we're looking? You see, when he talk, I don't really understand what he means by looking. The thing is, society frowns upon having sex through the anus. So nobody is looking for it. If you do it and you're seen, people don't, you know, and in fact, the wives complain. Look, go to the divorce court.
The wives complain?
Sure, yeah, hang on. I'm not too sure practices. But if you go to the divorce courts, there are lots of divorce cases that the women are complaining that their husbands are taking them from behind. Yes, so it's a basis for divorce. Yes, exactly.
In Ghana?
Yes. This is a basis for divorce.
Why are the men doing that?
Well, I'll go and find out from the men who are doing it. So, I mean, we call it perversion.
Yes.
It's perverse sexual behavior. And the people also sleep with animals.
Yeah, we know
Some of them we see them, some of them we don't see them. So it's not about going to look for people sleeping with a goat or a cat. It does happen. And if you find out, then you discourage it. You don't say, oh, it's a lifestyle, go ahead with it, we love it, it's human rights.
There's another question they raised.
No, just a minute, yeah. It's human rights. That's the point. How does Professor Prempeh respond to the fact that a man having sex through the anus is a human right, where feces are supposed to come from? How can that be a human right?
But if that's his preference.
It's what we have also, you can have a preference, you can have sex through your ears, that's a preference. You can have sex through your eyes. You might as well remove your spectacles, then we pour the semen through your eyes or your nose and see how it works. That's not the orifice for sex. We know it. So if somebody has a preference for that sort of behavior, then we know that's a problem. I always ask you this question. If I come and there's water here and I start pouring through my nose, what are you going to say?
Then you have a problem. But you're not a criminal.
No, yes. So
you're not a criminal, but
but we are not saying, but you see, but if you want to persist in it, that's where the criminality comes in. And we've said that the law, if you do it and you genuinely see you have a problem, then you need to be helped. Because anybody with a problem is helped. Hold on. But he doesn't say that it is a right. Once he begins to talk like that, and then he wants to force that on society, then we have a problem. So we have to address that.
So the person who's not forcing on society says, I'm a woman.
Yes.
I can't sleep with a man. I can never do it.
Why? Why can't you?
If you force me to sleep with a man, you're killing me.
No, we will find out why that is the case, because it's less like
whatever reason she doesn't want it.
No, we have to find out. It's like me saying, I always want to pour water through my nose. By all means, I want to pour water through my nose. It's not a problem.
That when you be thirsty, you will die.
Yes, so it's the same thing. So
when you die, you're dead.
So what I'm saying is, if a man says, I want to have sex through the anus, and this is what I like, how can that be possible? Because you're destroying the anus.
No, well, but I'm now talking about. I'm talking about.
I'm happy I got there, Paul. I'm happy I got there,
men.
because that is classic LGBT. You see, you're cross-examining me using classic LGBT lingo.
Yeah,
they try to cover it up. Yes, because they want to cover it up, and I will expose it. Because that's their strategy. I've read their strategy to you. After the Ball, written by Marshall Keck. That's their strategy. They don't never leave that strategy, or Paul Rondeau, as to how to sell homosexuality to a community. What you do, you desensitize them. You take away the bad aspect. You don't focus on the bad, the sex and all of that. Focus on the human right, like you're talking. But that's not the case. Because we meet people. Look, Paul, I'll give you an example. 4 weeks ago, a young man came to us. We're taking him through the processes of our medical system. In fact, when you come, we vet you. After that, we do a profiling of you. We have about 30-page documents. And then after that, we take you to the hospital and we start running tests. Paul, this young man will run the test because HIV/AIDS.
He had it?
All my people broke down. I mean, I have never seen my team this, despondent. And it's happening. It is not a once. So I meet the people. This is serious business. It's not a joke.